we have a game to play, and it starts in the Tanya Ellis Research Institute, which is a renowned place of intrigue, work and highfalutin magic research, the kind of place that produces the things that you only ever see 10, 20 years later appear out in the wild for consumers and general use. They have been implicated very heavily in the collection of people. People have been snatched from their beds, their sitting rooms, and wherever, put into custom-made containers, which have then filled with various liquids and gases, one of which is streptozine, which allows the body to be ready for deep freeze. The deep freeze of each of these containers, of which they have amassed hundreds upon hundreds, are lined up like grapes on a vine, hanging there, getting picked by robotic arms who are moving them onto specialized transports in preparation for them to be lifted up into space. The players were all brought into this center on the ruse, or not, that they were going to be piloting a ship that was going to go up to the tithe ship. The tithe ship is how the Infinite collect their taxes. And they do so on a massive scale across the hundreds and thousands of planets, hundreds of systems that they control. They gather this in whatever a planet can give of itself. And this planet that we're on has been an industrial planet, but has been getting spectacularly low yields in all of their past two tithes. And something was having to be done. And something was done. Rather than give up and ship up and get people off the planet and go somewhere else, the powers that be decided that they would be able to use the people of the planet to give to the Infinite, to give them what they have, the resources. And the hope is that it will be enough to stop the Infinite taking a much greater interest in the operations of the planet. And so the characters were through Galen's ship, were carrying some of the last tubes containing these unwilling volunteers into the Tanya Ellis Centre. And there they were able to investigate and find out, and indeed watch as one of the employees walked out because she was having nothing to do with it. But being given the promise of a very lucrative contract and also a way in and probably a way up to the tithe ship, the characters... Rufy, played by Jake, Dr. Zimmerman, played by some old pirate, and Galen, played by Lloyd, agreed to the contract. They took the job. They signed on the line. And so it is that we find the three characters along a glass-lined gangplank across this vast warehouse space with these huge containers being packaged, ready for flight. And at the end of the corridor, a rather annoyed looking Mrs. Zimmerman. And she's watching as the three characters approach. And she has said, "What have you done?" And that's where we begin, as the three characters stand and walk up towards the door at the end of this corridor. And what are you doing, guys? What's happening?
I'm gonna just look shocked and turn to Dr. Zimmerman like, "What have you done?"
Mute.
I mute.
I ignore him completely as usual and take one step forward.
We're not going to hire you for my next job.
I hesitate for a moment. I just say, "Helena, What are you doing here? Did you escape? What's going on?
Never mind how I did.
I'm not gonna do that. Not really.
No, that's terrifying.
I'm not.
Don't. You just made a tense scene even more frightening somehow.
Everything
she
is fine.
stares at you.
It's Dr. Zimmerman's wife. We found her.
What did you? Why did you send out that communication? Why did you send out there? Why did you stand? You are supposed to be at home. You are supposed to be at home and worrying about what has happened to your wife. Why are you here? And why have I been sent down to collect you?
What?
What
are you talking about?
You done? Come with me, please. Come, all three of you, before you get put in one of those things and shipped up, because that's what would have happened if I hadn't intervened. Can't believe it.
Adam, you can come as well.
She turns around. She turns around and indicates you to follow her.
What? I came here looking for you. What does
your wife look like? What does she look like?
She's kind of she's kind of got a longish graying hair that's usually kind of tied back in a bun. I'd say she kind of looks a bit schoolmarmish maybe as well. So the way you're probably portraying her is probably quite accurate.
From where I'm sitting, she looks very stern.
Yeah, but she has a kindly face normally.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I did that. You notice that she is not wearing the same jumpsuits, the grey and the orange stripe piping that the others were. She is wearing her conventional civvy clothes, but just as she turns round, in a flash of the light, you see that she's got a badge.
Oh.
She's wearing a badge of the Tanya Ellis Centre. Yeah.
And so I guess I step forward and just catch hold of her arm and whirl her around so she's looking directly at me and say, "What's going on? Looking at this badge. What are you doing here? Why? Who sent you to come find us?"
I have been working. I have been busy trying to ensure that this planet is not taken over by the infinite, is not invaded by the sunburners, that it is not put under control after the past terrible yields that we've submitted. The infinite have taken an interest, and through my work, I was asked to assist, to come up with a solution, to offer some ideas about how we might dig ourselves out of this hole. And that, my love, is what has happened.
Wait, you're a part of this? No, that can't be right. No. Think about what you're doing. What about these people? Why did you just? Couldn't we just explain to the infinite we'd had a bad deal because of the mine disaster? That's all. They'd have accepted that, surely. Why people?
There is nothing left on this planet that significant quantities that we can give. And there are people here who like their lives on this planet and do not want to move. They do not want to be taken to another part. And they're saying this as you're walking, and she indicates into a room with seats in it.
Is that the people in the pods or the people out of the pods?
I'd
rather stay here.
Yeah.
It's funny how also, like, it's always the people organizing this stuff that never volunteer.
I'm just wondering if the seats that she's motioning to, do they have these like straps where the wrists would be and where the ankles are, or are they just like normal seats?
Yeah, you need to, if you're a bit concerned at this point about your well-being. I think a quick perception roll. You're looking for a bit of detail, maybe as you're kind of scanning the room. So let's can we get a perception roll from you? To see how well.
Force a habit.
All right.
It's gonna be fine.
It's not going to be fine. It is a 5 because I rolled 1.
Oh.
They look like absolutely comfortable seats in a very well-appointed waiting room that you would expect.
Adam, maybe you should go sit down first. Just see if it's okay. Then let me know. I'll stand with everybody else in the meantime. Or if they're sitting, I'll go sit.
Yeah, I sit down for
There's
most
a lot of
my work
explaining
day.
that has to be done. This is a horrible precedent to set. This could mark the end of everything.
It buys us another year.
And then
that
what?
may be...
And then what? The same thing? Because we don't have the resources for a second year either. You know that. More people? Are you insane?
When the infinite appear in this system, we all know what it means. We all know the penalties. We are capable of much on this planet. There's a program underway, a new production up in the higher rings. You're part of it. I don't have the details. It's beyond me. But we have a new production. It involves siphoning the gas from our star. A new technique. Part of what we're looking at is being able to supply different materials. So putting our industrial nous to work, sure, but just not from this planet. This is our base now. We have to stretch out further if we're going to be looking. This is just to buy us time. But what you've done...
What do the Infinite want with all these people? And you're sending, what, sick people that can be cured, but it would be too expensive to cure them? Or people that you feel are not as strong or can contribute as much? I mean, the soul selection process, and what are they going to do with these people anyways? That could have been me on there. What would they've done with me?
He stares at you.
I don't think they know either.
Oh, then my character is curious.
She stares at you, and she shrugs.
Wrong, Eleni, you know that. What? This is wrong.
We will not even know that they accept the tithe until it is on that ship.
My God, you're more monster than the Infinite. You're sending people up as your own idea on your own volition without knowing if it's even going to work?
Sick people who were going to die anyway. They only had a few years left of their life. Their reports and their medical situation was absolutely dire. If it wasn't their own death brought upon the failing of their own internal organs or the destruction of their mental well-being to a point, it would have been a rock falling on their head. These people, they are from every walk. There is no difference as to where. We made absolutely sure that every one of them had limited lifespans. that as long as they can survive in this process, that you, points at you, Dr. Zimmerman, you were instrumental in creating, and you made this possible.
No. That wasn't what I was doing it for. You know that. No. No, you're not going to blame this on me.
Yeah.
Why do you think they gave you all those funds?
This is bullshit. No. I kind of step away and I turn away from her.
Yeah, we've also seen like one person that would survive with treatment. So your whole thing about they're all people that would never survive is bullshit as well.
That's rationalization. And then what if things don't work out next year? What if this experiment that's meant to take gases from bodies, what if that fails? And then what if the infinite isn't happy with the old and the infirm and the sick, and they want younger or stronger or smarter? What are you going to do then? This is madness. Surely an educated person like you must see this.
What I see is the destruction of everything that we've built here. Everything. All of it. Every last drop. Every building, every atom, every block, everything placed.
What frightens me most in all of this, Elena, is that you have the
Getting out.
I cut out.
You just stop and just at her face, and she just stares. Finish your words. What is Dr. Zimmerman's
I
first
can
name?
read your thoughts.
Not once have you mentioned the people. It's all about things and buildings. That's what you're concerned about. What about the people?
The new people that are born every year, the people who come here to work, the people who think that by their very existence are due something. Everything that they have here exists only because of what's been put in front of them by
The people who think they are due something?
the corporations that have funded their air that they breathe, the land that they walk on. All of this being created. These people have to give something back. They know that. They know that well.
They did give something back.
Yeah.
They made your millions.
Also assuming all the corporate money that is spontaneously generated. That was never derived from someone else's hard work.
It was only made possible because of the investment in this planet and the money that was put forward by those who already had the wealth. You know
That's
that.
the problem right there, isn't it? Because the people that can't afford to be treated are the ones that are going to be shipped off. That's pretty
It's
damn
not too
cold.
late to stop this. They're not expecting people. They're just expecting a tithe. It's not too late. Who put you up to this? Who convinced you that this is the right way?
Yeah, let us speak to them. Let us speak to them. I know this isn't you.
What else do we have? What else do we have here that we can get in 2 days that we can put into ships or up on the elevator to get it in front of? What? Tell me. You name it. If we've got the resource to gather it, then we'll let every single one of those people out there out. You come up with a better plan than we already have? You know I love you. You're a mind. You're a great mind. But you can't possibly engineer something like this. You just can't. It's not possible. It isn't possible. It hasn't been possible for 2 years. We've tried. We've tried.
You
Do you want to see what we've tried? I did just... Do you remember when one of the mining rings in the Northern Hemisphere collapsed.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people died that day? It's 10 times more than this number that's going out on the ship. That ring collapsed. The resources that we were trying to do, that was pushed to the absolute limit. We were trying to get down to near the core of the planet. It's not possible. There is nothing left. There is not enough. Sure, we've got some in the Southern Hemisphere. That's fine. That's given. There's enough. It'll get us through. We'll give them some platinum and we'll give them some people. That will be enough. Everything else that we can do from that point. If you can find anything, sure, yeah. But there isn't, because we've been trying for 2 years. It's just not there.
We could leave. All of us. Get on the Galen's ship and we could just leave. Leave all this behind.
Sorry, but I don't think she's a keeper.
Just looks at you.
She's obviously been tricked into this. She's obviously been brainwashed somehow for somebody to think about this about their fellow man and
I
woman.
think she's allowed to own her own bad choices.
He's right, though. There's nothing we can do. Nothing we can gather to give them. How long do we have now?
Unless you take a stand instead of just bending over backwards until everything's gone, people get killed off anyway.
But we just
Take a stand. What weapons do you have on your ship that could withstand a bombardment from up there? What
The
do you
bombardment only
have?
works on the ground.
What do
One
you
advantage of
have
having a ship.
in your own armories that you can lift and put in your hands that will be able to take on a sunburner and knock them out of action? Do you know?
I imagine
'Cause
that's
I
probably
don't.
exactly what they think. You have a counter proposal. Instead of having all these tubes full of like all the old sick and dying, you could put up the best we've got. You could smuggle them up onto their tithe ship. At least go down swinging.
what?
Fill
What
them
if
all with
something were to happen
explosives.
to the tie ship?
Even that might work. Can you build a big enough bomb in 2 days? Probably.
She
Yeah,
looks
but
at
you
you
probably have
and
to build
says,
it out of people.
you'd rather have the entire planet cleared by the Infinite?
Give the people the choice. Which you
What
aren't.
choice would they
'Cause
have?
the
If
planet's
the-
dying already. Like, they gotta get... If it's not this harvest, it'll be the next time.
What choice would
Yeah,
they
that's
have
right.
as the sunburners walk through their homes? This way,
What?
we buy
They
ourselves.
may not have a chance, but they have a choice.
And how
They'll do
many
very different things.
years are you going to be buying yourselves time, Elena? You're talking about harvesting material from a star. Think that'll be ready for next year?
We've already got the basics in place. The technology is proven. There are tests. There is understanding. This is our base of operations. Very soon we'll be building around our star. These rings that we have here, these will be dwarfed in comparison to what we're able to achieve and what we have already started. This is just the time we need. It's this, or every planet in this system, every base. Well, anyway,
Galen had
The
an
reason
idea
I'm
when we were
here-
talking before.
What are you
she
saying, Robin?
looks at you. She looks at you, and she's like, "You have put the entire operation in jeopardy. I'm only glad that you didn't get involved in this
Well, maybe
before
if we spent
now.
2 years coming up with a better idea, we wouldn't be in this situation. What were we saying, Ruffy?
Well, I remember Galen mentioning that perhaps if something were to happen to the Tides ship en route that couldn't be traced back to the planet, that the Infinite couldn't be irked by or take their ire out upon us, we don't have to put anybody on the ship. We don't have to put anything on the ship. We could save all the materials that we're not putting on the ship for next year's tide, as long as we can make it look like the ship suffered an accident, a failure, destruction. Has this ever happened before? Does anybody know? Have Tide ship ever, set course and then, got lost in the sun, or did a jump and never got back to where it was supposed to be? We have accidents here on the planet. Surely these ships, something we must try before we resort, and not that we should ever, but before we resort to giving up ourselves.
Do you know why they want the people? What they're using them for?
Elian, she
Food?
looks at you and she says, "Come, look. If I hadn't intervened here now, you would be on that ship, and you wouldn't have been coming back." And she just stares at you, and she walks over to you. And puts her arm out and onto your shoulder. There are people who want you killed for what you've done. That might still happen. You shouldn't have made that video. That recording was... You should not have done that.
People needed to know. If this is what it's come to, people need to.
Why didn't you stay at home? You were supposed to stay at home. It'd been arranged. You were on leave. You'd been given time off.
I was looking for my wife.
Yeah. Like, if you didn't tell him what you were doing, then I think the natural thing is you would try and find out where you'd gone.
I sent you a message. Why didn't you just listen to me? She looks at you. And she looks at you when you say that, and she's like, "This," and she taps onto her wrist, and like a message appears in front of you in the air. And you see her standing in your house. She's looking out over the view. And she says, "My darling, I know you're not going to like this, but my work with the Global Planning Protectorate, the GPP have asked me to look into the probabilities of a plan that they've been brewing. They say it's of absolute importance. It's critical to the survival of all that we do. They've asked us to come and analyze, check, use our resources to just check that this is going to work, this reliability. I know you're not going to like it, but please stay here. I'll be back. I'll be back in 3 weeks. Just trust me. I'll not be far." And then she just looks, and at that point she looks at the recording, and and says, "I love you. I'll see you soon," and it flickers off.
I didn't receive that message.
Yep. Didn't receive. Oh. And she looks up, her eyes roll.
Did they stop it?
Okay.
Did someone in the GPP not want me to receive it?
She's thinking. She can see her she looks a bit less annoyed at you at this point. They said that they were just going to make sure that you had time away, that you'd be kept out of work. They knew your profile. They knew. They knew that if you got wind of what your work was being used for at Morgan Cornet, that you'd stop it or sabotage it. They knew. I don't know. The operative here, the prefect, he... It is what it is. I... Stay here. Please, just stay here. The chances are, but by the time the ship's gone up, you'll be just free to go. They may haul you up on some rebuke. You probably will lose your position at Morgan Cormier, but your pilot's license likely revoked, and your medical future, I'm afraid, is likely not to be with VTOP.
My parents will kill me.
They weren't any part of this. It's only me on the tape.
Dr. Gurua,
I stand by what I've done. And look, as a result of our actions, you've been reunited with your wife.
the result of your actions, and she plays on the big screen a large video wall appears, and you see one of the towns. It looks like a fairly standard mining town, and there are thousands of people standing in front of the central authorities' place of work, their building, and they are standing outside it, and it looks pretty heated. There's a small number of security, but nothing to contain the crowds the size that they are. Your work, your message, this is just the start of it. Look here. And then she flicks the screen to a rather more upstanding part of one of the rings. You can tell it's clean, and there's a space view in the background, and there's a meeting of 100 or so people, and you can't hear what they're saying, but they're pointing up into the space away from the gravity, and they look absolutely pissed, and there's security guards there, and then it cuts again to a sector that you might recognize, and there are people gathering. It's only been a matter of minutes.
I think that shows what the people think about your decision.
Your message is going to cause bloodshed. Your message is going to hurt more people than we have in storage in this building.
Dr. Zimmerman, Adam thought it was a bad idea that you show your face and not disguise your voice.
mean, also if you kept everything above board, this probably would never have happened. Like, you'd have probably even had a more peaceful outcome. You did this by trying to keep it secret, by taking people without giving them a choice.
Look what's happening when word gets out.
That's because you're poor decision making.
She looks at you and shakes her head.
That's fine.
No.
I don't have
This
to
never would have happened. This never would have happened.
If it hadn't been us, it would have been someone else.
People, nah. Well, it is what it is. Let's just hope that any violence that occurs in the next 24 hours has a lower body count than what we're about to pack onto the ship.
Oh, you've misunderstood. It's not going to be just violence. There's going to be general strike. People will stop working. They'll stop producing. There'll be less and less for the tithe. And then what are you going to do? The people won't stand for this. For their mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles. Sick children, perhaps. Other relatives. To be taken away. And for what? Because there's not enough platinum?
You forget how thankful the people are towards their corporate overlord.
You may be disappointed to learn that the message has not just been sent to Valentis.
My God, woman, this is like we're living the 28th century already. Or whenever this is.
Yeah.
Check
I think she's only concerned now because her head's on the chopping block. Isn't a thought that's crossed her mind for anyone else that she's put in a tube.
We've been through it. Everything that you've said right here, all of this, all of the emotion, we've been through it. All of the questions, we've asked them. All of the alternatives, we thought about. It is what it is.
I have my doubt.
Maybe it's time to make a stand.
You make me question, is it the infinite that's the real problem? Or is it us ourselves? That we would lead ourselves to a situation where we ourselves are putting ourselves up for the tithe. I don't know if we should be revolting against the infinite or against you, your type.
You're doing this because you're afraid.
Aren't you? And she scans her hand through in a low orbit picture of the Infinite's tithe ship above the atmosphere, and it's just scanning. And you can see clearly that the ship is absolutely vast, even in the field of view that you have. This continual scan of bulk, huge, giant bases of void in between equally vast boxes attached to this flat plane. It's just an absolute. It's like nothing you've seen. We have the closest thing on Valentis is the rings, but this is like them, but all together and floating and as it scans, you see what could only be absolutely vast defensive cannons. They're huge. They make some of the empty spaces between the bigger spaces just look small. This ship is an absolute warship, but only as the camera finally gets out from underneath it, and you see the moon of Valentis just appearing to give it some scale. That the size is just the moon. It just is eclipsed by this. The camera pulls back on the ship. We do not know how many sunburners they have in there. It could be more than the entire population of this planet. We do not know what those weapons do. We do not know what capabilities they have, but we do know that the Infinite are able to view results of our actions in the future. We know this. We know that they have the capacity to read other people's minds. If we stand in front of them with thoughts of sedition and uprising, how do you think that they will respond to that? I am scared. I am absolutely petrified that we do the one thing wrong that brings that down on top of us. I didn't expect you to understand, but at least I know that you are safe. Now, I'm going to leave you, and you're going to stay here. And once it's all over, and that monstrosity in our orbit disappears to the next unfortunate souls, maybe then, and she looks at you, Dr. Simmons, maybe then we can begin to repair the damage that's been done here. And then she walks to the door.
Maybe it shouldn't be repaired.
This is like... No one would do such things.
The door opens.
Ye men of valor!
She steps out.
Never surrender.
That's not you, Elena. This isn't
The
you.
door closes behind her.
This
And you
is
find
not our
yourself
finest
alone.
hour.
With the screen displaying this orbital camera panning around the massive ship.
And I take one of the seats with my head in my hands.
What's the door made of?
The same material that the doors that are largely through the complex have been made of. This strange skin that appears, I guess a white, off-white, it's like a plasticky veneer to it, and it looks solid, as you would expect.
There's no point sitting around here moping. See if we can get a way out of here.
Do what?
Keep moving.
What can we do?
I mean, anything's better than nothing.
I mean, she's right. If we don't offer up a tithe, this planet is going to be destroyed. Everyone on it.
A very ominous feeling. This feels like the end of the beginning. And there's still more to come.
Where'd the narrator come? Adam, is that you?
I'm sorry I got you all involved in this.
I think we could do something if we could just get her on board. It does. It feels like they spent like 2 weeks before they decided to give up. The thing is, to do anything meaningful, we need them on side. And the thing is, I don't think they're going to have anything next time either. So it's going to be her volunteering someone else out to die. Because none of them can be asked putting themselves under any pressure.
Okay, I get to my feet.
I still think if we could load up all the pods with people that could fight, you might have a chance. So we could pop all the... unfreeze everybody en route and then see if we can commandeer the ship. Go with the plan we had before. Might give us a way of sabotaging the entire ship without losing anyone who didn't really have a choice.
I don't think Elena is I don't think she's a leader in this. can't believe that. What about this Dr. Abore? Maybe we can find him, try and reason with him.
We could try. We just have to find him. He'll be around here somewhere.
Is he here or is he back? Valant.
There's a reason why she sent her to talk with us. Maybe if we show that it's not working, then they'll send somebody else. Maybe we will meet Dr. Abore. Maybe we'll just move up the ladder.
If he's even here. He was on the planet. He was working on the planet. Name.
Maybe somewhere on the planet, somewhere.
Is the door locked? Actually,
Yeah, you try it.
That'd be quite fun.
It doesn't open. Normally a door that was open would open in front of you as you approached it, and it doesn't. So at this point, you don't have the clearance that you need to have that open. It's, yeah, it doesn't shift when you go towards it.
what else have we got in this room then?
We could try and pop a panel off the door and just see if we can jury rig
Yeah.
something.
Also, there's technology, there's screens, there's limited access to the network. You've got voice command. You've got your own connections as well, potentially your own inbuilt technology and links to things.
Okay. There's voice recognition and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I get onto my little tablet. I want to call up all the past messages with my wife's voice on.
Mm-hmm.
Galen,
Yes.
do you think you could maybe extract words from these messages to
give it a
create
shot.
a command
Give it
to
a shot.
open the door? I hand him my
Doesn't hurt to
tablet.
try. Saves trying to get my hands dirty. You can also see, while I'm working, you can always check the local comms, the network. If there's any way we could ping the doctor.
The one Wise, Dr. Wise, or Dr.
The one that we
Abore.
think's in charge. Abore.
Abore, yeah.
Well, if he's on the planet, I'm wondering if maybe Octo Nabore is here.
Yeah, 'cause the thing is, if this room has access to the basic network, they might be able to get hold of him.
Yeah.
See if we can pique his interest while I try and hack the door with my technical
Ship,
prowess.
what's the location of Octo Nabore? Ship, what's the location of Dr. Abore?
behind.
Yeah. The room pings open. Dr. Abore is currently working on floor 33 in one of the laboratories.
Oh, he's
Shall-
here.
Would you like me to open comms with him? The room says helpfully.
I got 12 on technical for trying to trick the door. So
Okay.
Oh yeah.
if there's a camera or something, I'll try and shuffle
We
away.
may
to,
need that anyway.
I don't want to be there in the back while they're having this conversation, be trying to hack the door.
Do we want to open communication with Dr. Abore?
Well, you still can. I think I just my well, if we're doing this sort of synthesized voice command thing, then we can at least get that working and then save it for now, have the conversation and see if we need it. I mean, you never know. We might not even need it for this room. We could use it somewhere further out the facility.
Yeah, sure. I'm just wondering what's Rafa is the one that's just asked the question. He's got this opportunity now. Does he want to take it? Dave's
He's
comment.
having an internal conversation now with Adam,
Okay.
trying to see.
We find out
Abore
Adam is
wants to
Abore's
do.
first name.
Yeah. Do we know where Octo Navori is? Because I think he might also be somebody that we could reach out to.
Dr. Abore. I mean, we've just heard Rafe say, "Where's? Do you want to open communication?" We've all heard that, right?
Yeah, you all heard that.
Yeah. I step forward then towards the console and just say, "Yes." Are you okay?
Camera.
Rafe, are you with us?
I'm with you.
I like save the voicing that I've kind of built to be like, start new recording.
Yeah.
Open channel to Dr. Abore.
The picture of the tithe ship disappears on the screen, and you're replaced with a face of a rather wrinkled, prune-faced man wearing a rather expensive-looking suit, and it is a shot where he is in a meeting room by himself with. In a meeting room, he's in a meeting type room. He's sitting down, and in front of him, you can see he's interfacing with his own screens. And he spins round on the chair to face you, and that's where you see him kind of just appearing with his wrinkled face. Yes. Who's this? And he looks at you like, obviously it was an internal call, but he's like, what?
Dr. Wise sent us. Perhaps we should meet at my location.
Yes. Roll. Give us a roll at this point. I think. What are you going to roll to try and pull this one off? Because you're being absolutely lying through your teeth.
Yeah. Charisma or
there's no other way to
subterfuge,
play.
right? Charisma, subterfuge. Subterfuge.
Either is fine. Whatever you feel is the more appropriate one in this situation.
We'll go for subterfuge.
And I'm going to mix a little bit of my medical knowledge, and I'll say, I am an intern, I am a student, and Dr. Wise entrusted me with certain information that you must know. And so I'm going to make it, charisma or subterfuge, you decide.
Yeah, subterfuge, go for it. You're definitely playing a fast one.
Seven. So, I think I can use 3 left to make it 10, because that's what I have left. And if it's yes, I have 3 risk left.
2 for 1, isn't it?
I will be
2 for 1.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's 2 for 1. Yeah. So I've used all my 3, and I have a 10. That makes it 11. Okay, so I have 11 currently.
Okay. If he gives you 2, that'll give you 1 point, so that'll make it 12.
No,
It's 11.
Oh, that'll be 11. Okay,
11,
then I'll
yes.
give you 2.
Yes. All right.
I'll give
so
you
now
2.
That's 12.
Wow. Okay.
And
Yeah, you guys are.
and the risk is getting depleted.
Yeah.
The risk is.
I'm on 3.
I mean, it's kind of now or never.
Yeah. So
wanted to last
he
another
looks.
session.
He looks and he says, "Fine. Meet me on the." And he thinks about it. Meet me here, and he pings a location up showing. I think it's
Dr.
10
Abori,
minutes.
not everybody knows. Dr. Abori, not everybody knows what me and my associates are up to. It's very secret. I'm going to try to move through the door. Does it open? I think you better come to us.
I look at Galen.
I'm not going to play the record.
No, but I'm looking. Do you have it? The recording.
So, yeah.
I just look at Raphael and I nod.
Okay. We'll be there presently.
Fine. 10 minutes. And the screen can't just, stops at that point.
Well, let's hope we don't disappoint him.
Hope he doesn't disappoint us.
I think we're way past that with
it's
him.
not more than a 10-minute walk from here to there.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's
do
next?
we know what level we're on? It's level 33 we have to get to, so...
Yeah, you're midway in the building, so you're kind of level
Okay.
20-ish.
All right, let's go ping the door and let's get out of here.
Yeah, see what happens.
You managed to cobble together a voice synthesized message from the recordings on Dr. Zimmerman's answer phone, and it works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It opens the door. Because that's how
Open
that's
the
just
door, please.
Turns out the two key password phrases are husband and disappointment.
Galen, it wasn't that I didn't have confidence in your abilities to do it. I
did.
thought, just in case, maybe he should come to us. Just, it was
Yeah.
plan B. But A.
the door.
We're going to do plan B first.
It's a well-conceived plan.
Plan A
the
was already
door.
out the door by the time you started the phone call.
Yeah, the door dissolves in front of you as you play this message.
There we
After
go.
you,
So
gentlemen.
We have the classical he said, she said. We got Dr. Wise to speak with us because of what Dr. Abori said, or what we said Dr. Abori said. Now we just got to do the reverse. And go to Dr.
you
Abori
guys
and
are-
tell him what Dr. Wise said to tell Dr. Abori. What could go wrong? Right, Adam? Come. You come too.
Wait. Adam?
He talks to me in, through communications. You could have just called your wife,
You don't think I tried that?
We'll watch. Oh, yes, of course you did. But
They're walking down the corridor,
I know that
and these
DP were stopping that.
rooms, just after room after room, door after door, and you get to the end, and there's like a vac tube type lift, and that gets you up to 33. You've got the coordinates in your overlay, and you see it. The room isn't very far away. There are some people who walk by you and don't look at you. It's
Well, you're gonna look.
You're
like
in the
we're meant to be
building.
there, right?
yeah, that's what you said. Your clipboards
Yeah.
and such. You probably
Yeah.
grabbed
Got
a
your
couple of
tablets
things like
and-
just
Coffee
look
cup
like
and a
you're-
tablet. You carry them around with you. Nobody's gonna stop. Nobody's gonna question you.
Yeah, I grab a coffee cup from the garbage. It conveniently has lipstick on the rim, though, so it'd be a little out of character.
Yeah, and you walk along, and the people are talking, and they just keep walking down the corridor towards the light. You, however, are walking down towards a darker part of the building, and the room door is open, and there you see an elderly man, the same character that you saw from the vid screen, and he's just sitting there staring at you. And he says, well,
First of all, please, let's initiate the privacy protocols so that this isn't being recorded.
I mean, should I have not gone in? Should I not go in? That's what I'm thinking. If he sees me,
Yeah.
game's up, right?
I mean, yeah, it's your call.
I mean, this is
You
something
in or
we
not?
discussed.
On the way up.
Wise. Well, I think you're crucial for the plan, actually.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, I'm
Because
going
of-
in.
Yeah, you're because of your expertise in the field.
Yeah.
And I'll go. Dr. Wise has some very bad news about the candidates that were chosen for those cryopods. It seems that many of the sick and infirm will not survive to the destination.
If you don't mind, Rafe. I step forward.
And he looks, yeah.
I don't mind, but we already discussed putting soldiers in instead. They would be the ideal candidates. Putting people from the military who have undergone extensive training, whose bodies can withstand the rigors of travel in the cryopods. Those would be by far the best candidates to send up to the tide.
And he stares at you. We have no time. What you say is right. We only hope that the ship is out and not looking. As long as the signs are reading energy, we'll be fine. We don't need to worry.
That's not what
Dr. Wise.
thinks. Dr. Zimmerman, tell him.
When you say that name, he just looks at you. He stares at you. Dr. Zimmerman.
Dr. Boy.
Yeah. Fine work at Rogan Cormier. Thank you for your contributions.
Don't thank me yet.
Dr. Wise did not mention that you were working with him.
I need to be honest with you, Dr. Abore. Those people that you're sending to the tithe ship, they won't survive the journey. Technology doesn't. I lied. I falsified the reports. They're all gonna die.
He stares at you, puts his hand on the table in front of him and racks his fingers for a sec. Just a few kind of, rap, trying to weigh up what he's doing. He looks at the three of you. Maybe that doesn't matter. And he looks to one side and thinks for a minute. And you can see the folds of skin on his face. He looks ancient. He's kind of cobbled together. He's clearly overweight and looks pretty old himself. Is there anything you can do? Is there any way you could fix it so they last a day, 2 days? How long until it fails?
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? If they don't survive the trip, what's the point of taking them as a resource? What are they using them for? What was the deal you made? It was you that made the deal, wasn't it? You worked for the proctor.
Yeah, Dr. Dr. Abore's like he nods his head and says, "There are those among us who can receive communications. I don't know why they chose me. I don't know why they picked on me. Perhaps just because I have a seat of some knowledge and power on this world, but my dreams are not my own. They saw, for the past times that we have delivered, failed. The amounts of material sent were not enough. They communicated their displeasure to me and suggested very strongly that we find something else to send them. Give of your planet.
Was it your idea to send a sick in the infirm? Do you think they will take that?
Actually, it was your wife's. He
No.
the...
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're not gonna put that one over on me. No. She'd never have done that. Never.
Planning was done. Better that it was those who did not have much life in front of them, she argued. We saw
No.
a reason.
You're trying to turn me against her, that's what you're doing. No.
Ship is preparing. It will be launched in 24 hours. I will be on that ship.
Think that's gonna placate us, do you? You think that's gonna make us go, oh, that's fine? What about all the people that didn't volunteer? What about them? You son of a...
Yeah, he looks at you getting all het up and he slowly rises to his feet. He's a relatively short man, but big in stature, slow moving. He stands wide, pulls himself up, tries to suck in the guts, puff out his chest, fails, but nevertheless the effort is there, and he takes his first step with his hand leaning for support on the desk as he walks around towards where you're standing. He shakes his head. No. But I want you to come with me. Do what you can. Find something. Fix it. Fix what is wrong. Find the answer. You have the resources here.
What? You want me to find an answer to the problem with the machine?
Yes.
Why? I should just let you die. That's what I should do.
We will be going onto the ships, and we will be traveling up to that vast acres of space that they've occupied. And we will be explaining exactly to them what they have. They will search and look and verify that what we say is true and what we have offered them is the tithe that we say it is. That, as far as we know, is the same as every year. And then they leave. All we need. Just enough time. We don't know where they put them after. We don't know if they put them through a portal or store in the ship. But I have seen them check, and that is what they do every time. This will be the 45th visit to the ship. It gets bigger every year, I assure you. Now, can you fix it?
No. No, I can't.
Dr. Zimmerman, not even with unfettered access to all the resources on the ship, you don't think you could make a go of it?
Gotta look at Rafe. Maybe with some help.
Good. Maybe the contract you signed will be worth something after all.
When the inspectors come to inspect the tithe, how long after that does the ship depart?
Begins to wind up soon as we leave.
Maybe
He
there's
walks
not enough
down.
time after all.
And he says, authorization, override. Dr. Zimmerman and his associates are to be given access to the delivery ships. This planet, he will synthesize or fix the issue. Communicate that out to the other planets. Then keep them alive for as long as it needs. As long as the ship leaves our system. And that is, we hope, enough. And the computer says, message received, thank you. Notice approved. Authorization. Cured. Permissions applied. Hey. The
And
ships
my
are...
wife also.
Very well. You will be traveling to one of, I believe, your rings. Rogan Cormier, Corporation Ring. The ships are docked there. Take one of these, and he pulls a scanner. I believe you can fly this, yes? And he looks
Galen?
Galen, and it's a vast ship.
Yeah, they can fly just about anything.
Yes, and he was very well. Very well. Take the ship to the coordinates on the outer ring. We will divert resources from anything that you need here. You can take anything that we have in our supplies with you. You must keep these bodies alive for the next 48 hours. And have Dr. Wise. Bring Medical Alpha 4 to us immediately. Thank you. Yeah. So he looks at you, shakes his head, and then he says, I will be coming with you.
Good. I'd like to know exactly which tube you're going into.
Yeah, that's probably a good place for,
Take a break.
for a break. So our characters find themselves having used a lot of their risk points. There ain't much left. When the risk points go, physical damage gets taken out of strength. And when strength goes down to 0, the characters are dead. So that's where we are. Just out of interest, how many risk points do you all have left?
I got 8. I think it's going to be much more of an immediate concern for one of us.
And I got 3. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. You have managed to con your way into creating a very desperate situation. One in which perhaps one of the most senior, if not the most senior, members of the Tanya Ellis Research Institute has actually bought your story, your cock and bull story about the fact that anybody going into this deep freeze will expire in before they begin the journey in the Tithe ship.
Yeah.
And through
Which
your
just
use
makes
of...
this guy an even bigger dick, doesn't it? Because it just means that he's trying to save his own bloody life, really.
Yeah. It sounds like most of them, including...
What an arse. Yeah. Don't you say a damn thing about my lovely wife.
At least you said plenty. I love the whole thing of like, they spent 2 years and they still came up with a non-working plan. So like, let's go with that one.
What was the alternative?
Stupid scientist.
Yeah.
Your most
Stupid-
brilliant
should have sent-
achievement was
sent the
getting
stupid
your wife
scientist.
to marry you.
I mean, if you think about
Actually-
the whole,
That's questionable at this point as well, isn't it?
Well, if it is your most
Yeah.
brilliant achievement, then that calls into question every other achievement.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
when you think about it, the only thing that's potentially going to save their bacon is the fact that like someone forgot to check their emails one morning and panic. Like the entire saving grace of their plan is that random thing happening.
Yeah. It's bad phone service. That's what. I mean,
Yeah.
No, it
we've
isn't.
nearly gone to World War III over less, Lloyd. To be fair.
Yeah.
So, you are given the opportunity to travel into one of the smaller ships that's leaving the ports, and your ship is still there. There are bigger ships now landed. You get the sense that they've moved into a different phase of the operation, but your ship is still on the Port Galen. And I believe you have some cargo in there that still requires some attention. And yeah, you're brought down, and you have this old man tagging along, and as he does, people come up to him variously, and shout, talk things in his ear and hand him data feeds, and he nods and agrees, and he activates a couple. He's doing business as he's walking, and people are he's kind of busy. But the way that you go down this time is a very different route from the way that you came up, and you find yourself walking amongst giant tanks, huge pipes feeding into these tanks, gauges, pressure, all showing that the systems are operating and nominal and flowing, and then outside at the top of the tanks there's more going up and in. And you feel like you've probably travelled down to the bottom floor, and you're in this vast room filled with these huge round tanks that are vast, and so the space they're in is equally sizable. And you get the sense that you maybe are underground at this point. You've maybe travelled down a little bit further than the 40 floors allegedly of the Tanya Ellis Centre. And he walks up to one of them. This old guy shuffles over, and he looks at this, and he says, "Good. Everything's working at least. Strepsine." He kind of mumbles under his breath. He says, "It's fine, right? Yes, let's go." And he walks you
Feeling
through
a little
this.
stressed, Aberray? Need a shot of streptozine?
Not yet, but perhaps. And you get the amount that it must be in here is just vast. You know, the quick calculations of your brain. There's a huge supply of this stuff, and it's all getting whooshed up and out of pipes and then up into the ceiling. And you walk through in these giant doors, and in front of you, you see conveyor hover. Like an invisible conveyor belt, pulling these black cylinders into the bottom of this vast ship. And yeah, at this point, Galen, you get pinged by your ship, and it's giving you its position as above you. It just, reconnects with you as you get into range.
Yeah.
And your ship is above you. But in front of you is a vast pancake-shaped, flat-looking disc of a ship, and this is where these things are being loaded onto. And Dr. Bori looks at you and says, "Well, shall we?" And he gestures in the air at something that you don't see, and the side of the ship opens and a gangplank extends down in your direction as you're walking towards it.
Yeah.
See
Let's.
what we can make of this.
We're going on board.
Your ship contacts you and tells you it's being asked to automate a departure, and it's going to enter into a holding pattern about 20 miles away from where you are, and it's just asking for your authorization at this point, Galen.
Sorry, what's the holding pattern?
The ship
Your
has
ship.
been requested. The automated ship, internal AI has been requested to shift. You give that approval, and it informs you that it's taking off and it will be available, and it will be hovering at an altitude of whatever miles in the holding pattern. And as you do that, the entire plaza on the back of the Tanya Ellis Centre, from above, you see it just opening out. So where you landed, your ship takes off, and as immediately as it does, the ground underneath where the ship takes off just separates. And as you're walking, you look up and see the sky for the first time in a wee while. And this vast hangar doors that are above this ship open up to reveal, and you walk up the gangplank.
Is it big enough that my ship could dock on it? Into it.
Is it? It certainly looks like it's big enough. Maybe onto it, possibly yes. But whether it's got the capacity to do so. But yeah, and the ship. You walk into it, and it's the typical grey, matte grey that everything has with the orange flash, and you walk round into this. There's staff, there's crew on board, and there's staff on board, variously busying about. There are tubes connected into the ships, and all of that gets removed as you see, and you're in the bridge now. You walk through the corridors and you're into the bridge. It's a fairly well appointed ship. Has everything you need, and there is a pilot. There are navigation officers, and there are engineer crew as well on the bridge. And as you walk in, Dr. Abori says, "Just be ready to depart the first stage." And one of the pilot, he nods, says, "Yes, sir, we are prepared and ready. All fuel signs are there, everything that we need. Yep, I'm seeing all systems go. On your word, sir." And Dr. Abori says, "Well, here we go." And the ship begins to lift. The ship offers you views. The ship offers you cameras, if you wish to view what's going on. It pings up, various options that you can check. If you're minded to, you can scan through those, and you see it just appear in your near field vision. And you can cycle through that and have a look at the ship, and you feel the acceleration mildly as it lifts out of the atmosphere. if you choose, the cameras show this vast disk of a ship heading up towards one of the rings, and then it begins to accelerate out towards the ring.
Do all the people on the ship, do they know that they're not coming back?
I'm gonna go with no, given that they never told anyone else either.
Doctor,
How did you sell it to everybody, Dr. Abore?
we pay very well. Look at your contract.
Yes, not much
Contract
good if
meaning
they're not
they
around to
can't
spend
spend
it.
Yeah, so the crew on the bridge are busying themselves, and they're looking at various things. And through the screen that's brought up, you see this vast disc from its external camera, and it's approaching one of the rings around the planet. And it's one of the very tall rings. It's not a mining ring. It's not a stabilization ring. It's one of the more scientific, high altitude science labs. And as you do that, you see another range of these. There's a few other of these ships, like limpets, that are just sitting on the bottom of the ring. And this one approaches to the designated position. Is there anything that you want to do at this point? Anything that you're thinking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say to Dr. Abore, what happens if I can't fix the problem? Well, I guess it doesn't matter to you, right?
It matters enough that we are able to continue. I think the work that we've put in place down there is fine. Every year we come to give the tithe. Every year we stand on the ship. Every year we watch as they manipulate and move through what we have given them. Every year the same. This year is different.
Dr. Abore, if the tithe is not accepted, if as they move through and manipulate, they are not content, how do you intend to pacify them?
They'll probably pick the fastest escape pod and just leave it behind.
Why do you think an old man has been sent to handle this transaction?
Knowing your lot, you probably just throw it through the short straw rather than any kind of like moral core.
Our minds. They can see into our dreams. They are able to tell. If I knew what the plans were, if they do not accept the tithe, they would have already failed. This is not something any of you should even try to imagine. Their justice will be swift. That is all I know. And that is all I believe, because that is what they have shown me.
Because the tithe ship was allowed to get to this point already, that's your tacit acceptance that this is the right path.
Indeed. We have to hope that it continues to be. I do not think there is many on the planet below us capable of withstanding an attack, an assault. But, well, this is the third year. We know what will happen if they are unhappy. This is why you must succeed.
Dr. Zimmerman, how may I be of assistance to you in your tasks?
I just need you to mark vital signs. Whoever we use as a guinea pig. That's
I'm
all
gonna
they
go
are,
over-
right, Dr. Abori?
As subjects.
You're a piece of work.
I think I'll try to find a free console, and just at this point try to familiarize myself with the console, what it could do, how it could react with these pods, where the monitoring functions are, just so that maybe I'm able to monkey around with it a little later.
Yeah, okay. So you do that. Yeah, you sit down and you begin to scan it. You see there's about 800 different pods. They're all on board. And as you monkey around that and you begin to sort of press the keys, you see that the intention is to offload from all the individual ships and then load them onto a larger ship, which you don't see. You kind of scan around with the various viewports that you've got, and you don't see this larger ship. But all of these smaller ships are docked like barnacles on the bottom of a rock, and they're just hanging there. And as your ship comes in to land, there's a slight feeling of discomfort as it latches on. The flight was relatively quick. Dr. Abori looks up and says, "Well, here we are at the lab where you are going to fix the problem that you created."
I like to think of it as a problem you created, Abori.
They just seem to be
Right.
too keen to blame everyone but themselves.
Which is making for fantastic dialogue, by the way.
So, Dr. Abori, he begins to cast. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you could very well be a mage just casting a spell, but it's just this,
Waving his hands
gesticulations
around
that,
him.
he's interfacing with things, and you know that you can't see it, but he's got some fancy implant or something that allows him to do this, and it's not quite brain computer interface, so he's still got that tactile sense, and he's just moving his hands. But you know what he's up to, and he says, "Good. Right then, let us go to the next stage. I have ensured that we have a useful space for you to work in. We have got," and he looks at the thing and he swipes up, and a holographic counter appears in the air, and this is the countdown that you recognize. You've seen this. There's a big thing that happens on the surface. This is similar. The countdown. Kids get taken to the tithing events where they all get, there's a whole thing that gets it. Big squares.
Like New Year's Eve in New York.
Exactly. Times Square type. This and it's all as he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's counting down, and it follows you as you walk down the corridors of the ship again to the airlock, and then your platform is lifted, and you are now in a vast open space which has to your right some windows that look out from the ring, and what you're seeing is what the ring would be if it had no internal walls in it at all. And already you can see that the pods are beginning to be brought in and coupled into what look like Galen's ship. The internals just ranks and ranks and ranks of these things, and they're all getting moved in and slotted in. And there are some technicians who are going around and just checking each one. So there's quite a few people up here, and the ship's crew come off, and Dr. Bori just nods this way and walks down the ranks of these things to a small room which opens up, and there are various consoles, there are synthesis machines, there are there are printers, there are moldings, there are all sorts basically that you'd recognise from a fairly high advanced Morgan Corney lab, but with the other moves, as you walk into the room, the sides of the rooms become transparent, and you can see that there are 6, 7, 8 of similar type of rooms with people in them, and they all turn round and look at you as you walk in. And Dr. Abori says, "This is Dr. Zimmerman. You will afford him the highest office. If he asks, you do it. If he says to stop, you stop. You understand?" And the people just turn around and continue to do what they're variously doing. You've got a fair resource at your disposal, Dr. Zimmerman. Your subterfuge has been successful through the time that you spent playing one off for another. And Dr. Wise has obviously played his part somewhere in there, you feel, as has probably some of your members of Rogan Cormier, and your wife was requested as well, was she not?
She was.
So she, as you turn around and look out over just this huge aisle upon aisle of tubes being put into place, you see your wife walking down towards the room that you're in. But she's still some ways away.
Yeah.
It's such is the space that you're in.
Ooh. So I call Galen and Rafe over. Rafe.
Yes, Doctor.
Where do we go from here?
I don't even want to think about it. Could be dangerous.
We have to figure out what we can do. This planet's like already on borrowed time.
Is this the ship that will be taking everything up? No, this is the Rogan Cormier lab, isn't it? The ship that's going to be taking everything up to the that's taking everybody up to the that's taking the tithe up to the tithe ship. Have we seen that yet? Is that's going to be a big? Is that the pancake thing that we came in on?
No, they're smaller surface to ring type ships, so they've only transported a smaller number of the total.
All right.
But what you're seeing now in front of you is all the containers, and yeah, strangely they are getting fitted in much like they would on Galen's ship, much like you've seen. What they're getting fitted into seems permanent, but that doesn't make any sense because you're on a ring. And the thought as you're thinking about this, as you're contemplating it, you're sort of saying to yourself,
"Ring is the ship."
Yeah, and you're like, what? This is not unheard of. I mean, they have to, they get moved. they do get moved, but it's unusual to use them in this way. Yeah, it's peculiar, but it's not impossible. They do have to replace vast sections of these things from time to time. They have to move them into different locations to avoid large meteor strikes that they haven't managed to take out, that kind of thing. So you're aware of them having that facility. But I don't think you've ever been on one used in that way.
No.
I think our choices have to do with around, is anything better than letting this plan be executed? So do we disrupt it at all costs and damn the consequences? Do we try, and that's one. Number two, we try to get on the tithe ship and then see where it takes us, and then try to, depending on where it takes us, find some machinations that we can devise to either stop this once and for all, meet the infinite, gain knowledge, or do we, and again, not sure from the lab if this can be done, find some way to sabotage the ship, the tithe ship. But again, end result is there's still people on there. So either get the people off, prevent more people from getting on, sabotage the ship, or get on the ship and see where it takes us.
I think all of our roads lead to the tithe ship.
Galen, do you think you could take a look around and see if there's any way of ejecting the cargo from this ship?
Yeah, do. I mean, there's entire ships that are all attached to this.
If we
we can find out if they could be remotely controlled like mine can.
And then
Do it up, yeah.
if we can get everybody off this ship.
I'll go see if I can find some info on this ring.
Yeah.
I'd also like to find out what kind of power systems it has.
That's the other thing I was thinking. We're going to
The thing
turn
is,
this into
yeah.
a bomb and fly it at the...
Well, I mean,
Type.
you could, if you could loop it, you could, blow like use it to slice through.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I still think
Yeah.
it doesn't. Yeah, but I still think
Yeah,
it has the
yeah.
problem that it has that if the thing blows up in orbit or whatever,
Yeah.
or is in disabled in orbit, then it's basically still. At least you give people time, I suppose.
That's
But,
what I'm
I was
thinking.
still hoping
yeah.
we could do something en route where you could just hijack it or disable it.
The problem we've got, I suppose, speaking character, if there are no people aboard, and they scan this ship and see there's nobody aboard, then the whole thing's a bust anyway.
Why couldn't
Yeah.
we get these pods to simulate that there is life inside them? To jerry-rig it so that vital signs do emanate from it, even if there are no vital signs.
All they can really do is search for energy sources or materials to try and
Our only
decide
problem
whether
is-
there's people in here or not.
Our only
We can probably
problem
fake that.
is we then have to empty 20,000 canisters and find out where to put these people.
But if they're still attached to their ships that are docked with the ring, we could let the ship sort that out by just remoting their way back wherever we want to hold them.
No, but that's the problem. The people are in the canisters, which are on the ships that are attached to this one.
Yeah, but they're only docked. They're not physically attached.
No, but if
Yeah,
you want to
they're-
get all of
and
the
the-
people out of the canisters, where are they going to go?
Well, do we need to get them out? Is there just set up a fake field of some sort to, trick the sensors. It also depends on what time you want to get rid of the people if you want. Try and unload them.
Without being noticed.
Well, the thing is, we could get into position first, then jettison everything. Like, the ships are sealed, so everyone will be fine in the pod. Just get them to autopilot back to the planet, and then we can do whatever we decide to do. Rather than do it early and risk detection.
Yeah, as you're talking, Dr. Borges says that's good. First ship is unloaded. Only yes.
So they're unloading onto the. They're unloading them onto the ring. Is that what you're saying?
Look out there. And he points out, and you can see that there's just a procession of these tubes being slotted into the individual compartments that have been allocated to them on this vast ring.
So they are unloading them, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's been helpful.
It's only going to be more people to try to unload.
Yeah. Dr. Abori is busy doing things. He's talking to somebody else. And your wife walks in at this point. And she says, Kieran, you're helping us now? I mean, I'm glad. Dr. Bore says that Dr. Wise has uncovered a defect in... And she looks at you kind of quizzically, but she doesn't say anything. She just
I'll look at
watches
her
you.
and say, Adam says, praise be the infinite.
Praise be the infinite. I hadn't planned to come up on this ship, Kieran.
No.
I hadn't planned that at all. And I hadn't planned for you to be on the ship either. So, can you fix it? Can you? What's the problem anyway?
The problem? Seriously?
Is it the streptozine?
No, it's not the streptozine.
Is it the moldings?
No.
The temperatures? She walks over and just sits down. Puts her arms down by her side. And just looks at you, and she shakes her head and she says, I knew it. Well, damned us both. There is always that. She says quietly under her breath to you.
Well, I suppose some people deserve to be here, don't they?
I hope you know what you're doing. I can't believe I'm going to say this. And she looks at you. You've been given the entire resource of the Tanya Ellis Center. Make it count.
Try. I'm looking back at the computer screen, and my mind is an absolute blank. So the ring is going to be heading up to the tithe ship. It's got all of the people on it. What the hell are we going to do?
Doctor, I think we should try to decrease the amount of strepsizine used in the mixture. Perhaps it's too rich.
You think?
I'm thinking about if that's what's countering the stress, lowering it might wake up the people in the pods. Possibly.
Then what? Either way, we've still got to deal with the tithe ship. We still have 20,000 innocent people aboard.
Well, then we have to find another way that doesn't involve anything happening to this ship.
Well, I'm all ears, Galen.
I got nothing. No, Karen, looking to see what options we have for how the ship itself, this ring thing itself, is built.
Yeah, what are you looking for? Just power, you said.
Idea.
Yeah.
Well, initially that was the plan
Wait a
because I
minute.
thought everyone
Is
was
there a
stuck in the
way?
ship.
Is there any way that we can dump the cargo? If we had to?
I mean, I hope they would have planned some kind of failsafe into the ring, but I don't really know without moving people all over the place. So we can have a look.
Remember in the ship we saw this invisible conveyor belt that was moving the canisters? What if we could try to reprogram that conveyor belt to start moving pods?
I mean, we could try.
At this point, I'm happy to try anything that doesn't involve a roll. It's just
Don't
not
worry
action
about
that I
it.
fear,
Galen's
but
got lots of
inaction.
points left.
So you're in this building. You've got a rather disapproving wife looking at Dr. Zoom, and you've got Galen looking around the ship, trying to get a general idea of what you have. When you look at the computer console, Galen, you're given the schematics of a piece of the ring which will actually detach itself and use a source of thrust to lift itself into the required height of the tithe ship, and then the thrusters will then move it into position and match the orbit, approach the thing that's bigger than the moon just to land, to dock with it. And there's a preset flight path that's been given. The section of the ring is big, but it still doesn't match the size of this tithe ship. It's a small component. You can see where it's going to dock. And when it does, there's a system for siphoning all of the cargo. And you also note that in the cargo there is also metals and product as well. It's not all of the ship is dedicated to the human cargo. There is some of the cargo, and you're also indicated that there's a separate ship that's going to be approaching containing metals, and they're going to be brought up from the space elevator and siphoned off from there and on. So there will be other ships in attendance to the grand the gathering of the Infinite's vessels and their work among the tithe to ensure its suitability. So yeah, you see that the ship is capable of reasonably speedy flight, but it ultimately is a retrofitted piece of a space structure rather than a ship. But does that really matter in space anyway? It just needs to get thrust and it'll move. So this is the plan. It detaches and decouples, and then there's a helm control, but it is currently it's automated. The flight path is automated. You're looking through it, and you can see that it rendezvous with the tithe ship. The other ships that are coming in are far more traditional hauler types of ships that you'd expect. In fact, bigger versions of your ship, which are used for hauling metals and ore. So they would be coming in, and you can see the flight plan appear there. But it looks from the readouts that there looks to be only a few minutes left in terms of the time it's going to take to load on the human cargo.
How many other ships are there then? The ones that are carrying the metals. How many of those are there?
A fair number. They're coming from various parts, various orbits from around the mining colonies, etc. The distribution
points. Are they piloted or are they automated?
Piloted, for the most part. Some of the very largest ones are automated and they've been keyed in flight paths. The ones that are coming from the space elevator where it connects, the deliveries that have been coming up through there, there's a number of ships, and you look at you're scanning down through the list of resources that have been given. Platinum by far is the largest, but there is other precious metals in there, and there are also some relatively dangerous, poisonous gases and other liquids. I don't know, Galen, if you would necessarily know, but they're typically things that you would expect to be in fairly serious containment in order to fly. So it's a mixture. It really is a mixture. You recognise a lot of the stuff that you've shipped in your time, and there are some other odds and bods in the itinerary, but you're just scanning through it, looking at all the stuff that they're going to be taking up as a tithe. So
yeah. Dr. Zimmerman might be able to, by looking.
Yeah, so you're looking at this, and you haven't looked down through all of the itinerary and the metals, and you see some stuff in there that undoubtedly would be very nasty if it leaked.
Yeah.
It could cause, and in the right circumstance, could cause damage, catastrophic damage, workplace incidents, the kind that blow mile-wide craters and things.
Or collapsed mines.
Mm-hmm.
And collapsed mines. Yeah. So you're looking through this, and Dr. Abori walks over and says, "Well, that's the last of them loaded. 20,000. Each one of them controlled from here." And he brings up the panel. "Here's the reports." And you see now the life signs, the name. You don't see names, you just see numbers. But you see life signs of each of them.
Yeah.
And they all look good. They all, the first scan that you do, they look fine. And you can see also that there's a whole bunch of inputs that are going in with the concoctions that they're being given, which fits with your research, and you know what they're getting. You know why the tissue has been put in this way. And then you also see that the bodies are not yet in deep freeze. They're still in that early stage of just being acclimatized and put in. They're not yet in a completely frozen state. The temperature, however, has been set in each of these items to go into the full frozen state at a time that you approximate to be after the check, after the tithe itself has been handed over. That's when the automated process of cooling will finalize the bodies into that state for their travel for whatever reason.
Dr. Abore, why are these people not yet in deep freeze? Is it to do with the scan?
Takes time, and they need to be able to check what they are seeing. It's no use to us if all they scan is a lump of ice. But once they've seen that, the systems in the tanks will ensure that they are ready for travel, at least if you can fix it. They just need to survive. How's it looking? Any signs of the problem?
Not yet. But I think we're getting there.
Can we stabilize them?
Maybe. I'm wondering if we may actually be able to avoid. Maybe actually be able to avoid the problem if we were to freeze them before. With that, but you say that's impossible. We can't do that. Is that a stipulation on their part or yours?
He says when they pass through the soul, they scan, they check, they look, they use devices. I do not understand what they do, but when they go over our tithe, they check to see, I suspect, perhaps composition. You think if we freeze them now?
Well, it was obviously slow down their metabolic processes and would buy you some time. That's all you're after, right?
The process itself, once they're settled, 24 hours. We can freeze them. If that's what you're saying, yes, we can freeze them. I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
When are you going in?
And he looks at you and says, then he points over to one of the pods that's just there, and you can see that it fits his size. It's short, it's wide. That's my ticket to happiness right there.
You think that's what you're gonna get?
Well, I match the profile. Who knows where we'll end up? Perhaps we'll get to see and meet the infinite, those giver of dreams, stealer of thoughts. Perhaps. And he kind of looks a bit lighter in his manner at that point. You get a sense that there's maybe a bit of relief in that thought. You maybe get solace from it.
What a complex character.
We're going to need to freeze them as early as possible. But I'm gonna need an hour or two.
Very well. Combined resources. Tanya Ellis Center are at your disposal. Work your magic, magic man. And he looks at you. And you still see he's got a slight sense of release. He says, but I will be the one to hand over all of this. And the last one in. For now, I'm going to get some rest. And he trundles off out the door and leaves you to it.
Okay.
Galen, what have you been recceing and looking at and doing while this has all been going on? What have you been up to? Have you been trying to filch into systems? Have you been trying to use your tentacle nous for anything? Have you concocted any?
I've got no ideas. I don't really know what we can do at this point. Let's see if I think we did. I mean, we could always see if we could try and use the whatever unloading system they use to try and I don't know, Jake was mentioning with the the gravitational
The conveyor thing.
the conveyor thing to dump them out to the ship so we can then unload the people on the ship. Otherwise, I don't really see what other options.
I think we have to prioritize getting Dr. Abori out of there so when we unfreeze him and he sees us, he'll go, "What did you do?"
The ship shudders ever so slightly, and you're given indication that it now has begun the decoupling process, and so the ship begins. The ship begins to tick on, you're given all the telemetry and such, the thrust. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of power in this ship to be able to move it. It's not fast. What
kind of engine are we talking about here? Are we talking fusion, nuclear fusion, or something?
What do you find? What is found when the investigation?
It's going to be a matter-antimatter thing, right?
Yeah, I hope it's not fusion because fusion doesn't explode really.
No, that's the problem. We want kind of a matter annihilation kind of.
Yeah, imagine if you want to try and keep a separation between them and probably the bigger ship. Yeah. Yeah, something like that, like a matter-antimatter reaction.
Okay.
The process.
Yeah.
But it's on the tithe ship itself, they might be I don't know, trapped a singularity.
Yeah.
Powered.
Yeah.
Core or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So you're filching about this, and you find this stream of energy signatures emanating from a space, and it powers itself around the ship into ducts, which can then be used to expend and expulse and provide the thrust. So the heart of the ship is in the center below where you are, and the vents that basically go right around all parts of this ring to give it the equal thrust it needs, gently moving it across. And that's what's happening. You see the departure. You look out through the window and you see your planet, the ring of the planet, as you move across. And on the other side, you see this looming tithe ship. And it's beginning to move slowly, but it is going to be slow. It's going to be a slow process. It's not, for all the power it has, it's never been designed to that. For huge, it's only ever meant to move itself out of danger. And so it's showing you that it's going to be approximately round about 30 hours until it arrives. And then the undocking process you see is going to take right up to the point, and the counter that's hovering above. Some people, they choose to have this as a perpetual reminder. You see the clocks just through the labs. You see the clocks ticking down, and there's people just working to maintain the balance of the chemicals in the ships, and you see all the work that's going on to maintain the flows. And occasionally you see somebody's input manually. They're changing something. It doesn't look quite right. They're responding to an alarm in one of the casks. So they're just people there keeping an eye on things and a balance on things. There's a whole bunch of different chemicals going into these ships, into the pods from the ship, and there's a huge amount of energy also being diverted from the reactors to run all of this as well. So there's just a crisscross of energy throughout this entire piece of the ring that's flying slowly off orbit to the tithe ship.
Okay.
And you still have connections as well with Tiny Alice Center. You see that as well. And there's still shuttles. Maybe there can still be shuttles and ships coming up onto the docking as well. So it's still, you're not moving so quick that other ships can't dock with you. So this is a merry, slow departure.
Maybe we commission ships that are bringing up platinum and materials to then take back some of the pods, or did their ships need to be retrofitted for that? I think.
But they'd have to dock. We still have, I think, all the old ships that still dock. That was the old.
What if we
Then we
faked
just left that at
it? And what if we faked a problem with this ship? What if we kind of made it look like there was a problem on board this ship which they had to evacuate? And then we hijack the ship. And we take it up tithe ship, and then we overload the reactor or whatever.
But how many people are on the tithe ship already?
None.
It's a nice round number.
Yeah.
This is the first contact and the only contact. Simple, quick transaction.
Well, we have materials that if leaked, could be dangerous. If we can only fashion
Yes, on the other ship.
ourselves.
The ship's they're on this ship.
They're on the other ship. But if this ship's got using antimatter type reactor.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably more of a science thing to know how to.
Well, you're
make
damn
it look
lucky.
unstable or whatever.
Well, we do have a doctor.
Then I am a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Show you some of your knowledge. What do you call it?
What are you going to try and do?
I want to see if there's a way to fake.
If you can make the power systems look unstable, then you could probably.
If we can make it look like
we don't have any way of doing a contamination thing.
No, we have if we had a runaway matter-antimatter reaction on the ship, and it was going to explode.
Or just the loss of life support systems. Okay, I like the exploding idea better.
I think
I'm trying to think
cargo
of
are
the
in
role.
pods, so I don't think the life support would probably affect them as much as us.
No. I'm going to have a look at whether or not that's kind of a feasible thing for Dr. Zimmerman to do. Yeah. So I'm going to get onto the old computer, and I'm going to look at the power systems, and I want to see if I can fake some kind of runaway issue with the engine.
Okay. Technical? Knowledge?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'd
maybe
like
Galen,
so.
in the meantime,
Okay.
can also assist it by causing like the ship to shake back and forth somehow, like as if.
At the moment,
Kind of autopilot, yeah.
Mm.
Yes, you recognise it as being autopilot.
I have rolled a total of 16.
Wow, nice.
Wow. Okay, so
Yes.
describe what happens. What's your intention? You succeed in it. What is it? What do you try?
Right.
What are you trying to orchestrate?
Okay, so this has all been thrown together quite hurriedly. And so I think it's fairly easy for me to kind of. I mean, maybe I actually do trigger one. Like an issue with the reactor, so that it looks like it's going critical. Yeah.
Yeah, going to roll for that.
What does it say? If we actually do make it, I mean, just getting it under control is the issue. After, if you start a runaway from,
I'm piloting.
so I want to fake an issue with the.
This is the exact reverse where Galen is saying, "Head towards that rock," and the autopilot's going, "No, don't do that." So the autopilot,
Yeah.
heading towards the rock.
So you, right. So you succeed in that, and that's what's happening. So the ship begins to vibrate. The system warnings start to red alert, basically. What happens then?
Then
Somebody's got to raise the abandoned ship alarm.
Yeah, we need to unload all our cargo into all the other ships.
yeah, basically that's when we kind of turn around and we're looking at the everybody else that's on anybody that's on the bridge or something and saying what's going on, as if we have no idea.
Yeah. So you managed to affect this incoming cataclysm. Dr. Abori walks in and says, no, he doesn't. You don't. You know, Dr. Abori does what he gets up. You see him in the next room, and he begins to wildly, madly kind of just gesticulate, and you see him shaking his head, and he's like, "No," and he walks through. We have to freeze them now. The reactor core is critical. We have only an hour left before our containment fields fail. We're going to attempt to move faster.
What?
Speed up the process.
Are you insane?
You should save your
Are you
cargo.
insane?
That's the important. Yeah, save your cargo.
You're gonna
That's the
lose
important thing,
everyone.
idiot.
Begin the freezing process.
Save
No!
yourself first.
No.
Well, I mean, Dr. Zimmerman, put him
That's
in.
it.
He's going to be frozen himself, and then once the freezing process starts, belay the order and.
Yeah, I do believe all authority was passed to Dr. Zimmerman, so I think
Yeah.
he gets to decide.
It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. We can't freeze them.
And you feel the ship lurch. This time not because of anything that Galen's done. And the speed, the ship is now moving faster than it was, and you get the telemetry on the ship is telling you that the docking procedure, if it continues at this rate, will happen in about 100 minutes.
I think Dr. Abori should have made a roll.
Yeah, I'm going to countermand that because I'm still fighting the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See if you can.
Because you need to save your cargo.
Okay.
So-
While he's doing that, I'm trying to make a calculation to see how long. What I would need to do in order to have the reactor actually go critical in 100 minutes.
Wow.
I'm going to ping the other ships as well just to get them moving closer. Because we need to unload the cargo before this blows up. Dr. Abar has lost his mind.
You make the calculations.
Yeah.
And you know that with all the systems that are coursing, all the power that's coursing through this part of the ring, you just need to divert enough of the power and block it in one location, causing a hemorrhage in the power distribution. And if you do that basically on both sides of the ring and then let that go, at any point it will the surge in power that runs down through the systems will collide. You would never normally do this. It's completely insane.
Oh no, yeah.
But it's one of the things that the sailfish. But you rolled a 16, so you've got command of that, and plus you've been given the authority over the ship to try and get these. So yeah, you know that you can basically turn the ring into like a large hadron collider with the energy pulses smacking into each other in the middle. If you need to do that.
Yes. Can we? So Galen's still fighting with the controls at the moment, right?
Yeah, you've done a pretty good job at
signal the other
overriding
ships
it.
to come in closer so we can.
Yeah, you can do
like
that.
we're going to because we're going to need to unload the cargo because stuff is fluctuating. Also, I don't see how like accelerating the ship towards the bigger ship is going to help. It just means it's going to blow up closer to it. So like,
Well, I think they're hoping
That's
that
why
they can
I'm
unload
hit the
everybody
brakes on it.
before the thing.
I mean, if you're not going
goes.
to be able to offload everyone in 100 minutes, then I don't think they're going to offload everyone and then get the ship back out into space where it's going to blow up. So I'm going
Yeah,
to
so they've only
that
got
we
to
need to
offload
offload
everything.
the cargo. Yeah, if you want to save the cargo, we need to offload everyone now.
The time you're in space now, and you can see that the entire port side of the ring is completely filled with the vision of the Infinite's tithe ship, and the tithe ship itself is emanating energy from it, and you see these tendrils of blue light beginning to push out from the ship.
Is that where we're going to end it for today?
No. Keep going. Anybody? Are we going to keep going, or are we going to stop there? What do you think? How do you want to play it?
I don't know, it's probably a good point to just Jake wants cliffhangers, so
He loves them apparently.
yeah. I think it's only fair that we give him another one.
There's still plenty of. Let's go for another 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. Let's go for another 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. We've got Jake once. We'll get him again.
The GM is on my side. My fellow players are against me.
So, the blue tendrils begin to whip out towards you. They're moving relatively quickly, and the light begins to as you're watching it, as your ship accelerates. It's not designed for this kind of speed either, so there's shaking. So the ship's beginning to shake, and Galen's trying to fight against AI, and you're succeeding, and you're making it. But then you realise that the ship's now shaking of its own volition, and you're beginning to kind of shake it to try and calm it down again. You're just trying to adjust thrusters here, and you're trying to siphon off this this power. The ship, it's not designed for this kind of speeds. It's only meant to be manoeuvred. So the fact that it's thrusting at this rate, using all of its starboard thrusters, and the blue light emanates out, and it begins to wrap. And when it hits the ring, the above you in the ceiling, you just see it spread like veins across the ship, the top of the ship, because it's just one big, large, huge section of the ring that you're in, no partitions, and the blue glow just lights up all of the pods below the light, and the blue veins crackle and move. They don't make a noise. They just kind of see them like lightning spreading out, fingers across down the side of the ship. And then you see it coming round the starboard side where you're looking out to your right, and they begin to filter and smash out again along the floor. They just spread out underneath the pods and then disappear as they go down to the deeper parts of the ring. And as that happens, you feel the ship stabilize, and it begins to accelerate.
Oh. So is that a scan and a tractor beam type thing going on?
Yeah.
Galen, what did you do?
Literally nothing.
Yeah, you're looking at the details. The ship now is stable, but you just see the number of its velocity against the planet. Relative velocity to the planet is just like, it's just going up and up and up as it continues. So it's perfectly smooth, and you're not, even when you are trying to adjust the thrusters to try and see if you can twist it out from under this. No, you can't. So this is the ring. The section of the ring is being pulled in. Galen, you've got enough information now, having watched the numbers go up. You reckon that it'll just take a few minutes, and you'll be at the side. But at the speed that it's going, it's going to just crash into the side of the tithe ship. Which, granted, would be like a midgie landing on the edge of your own arm, but still, it's still going to make a dent at the speed it's going. But there's still this blue light.
I assume that's not going to happen. Just with it.
Can we jettison the cargo?
I mean, if we want to save these people, we're going to have to. So might as well just go ahead with it. I mean, they're in pods. Just pump them back to the.
What are you going to do?
Source of things.
Think just jettison the cargo. They just gather them up.
I think we need to. The pods should preserve life under these conditions. We're not.
Well, they've started the freezing process as well, right?
They've started the freezing, yeah.
I'm out
Will
of
they
ideas.
float if they're ejected over a body of water?
I mean, they're in space, so they'd have to
You're in
provide
space,
re-entry
yeah,
and the rings.
They said, no, that's right. That's all.
Yeah. So we can.
How do we save them then if we're in space?
Well, we won't be saving anyone.
I think at this point, like, unless you can get them off the ship, like, nothing's. They're just dead anyway, so why bother?
It's not action that I fear, but inaction.
Yeah.
And as you're enacting and wondering, your wife is standing up, and she's looking out of the window towards the blue glow, And she just turns around and says, I
What have you
don't
done?"
understand. I don't understand. What is this? And she goes out the door to kind of reach down and touch one of the lights. And she's
Great.
unaffected by it. Unaffected. And she just touches it and she puts her hand over it and it dims out. She looks round, shrugs, and begins to walk out into the blue glow across the floor. The ship now appears to all that you can see from the side panels. All of these camera viewports that you've got all show just this tithe ship. That's all they show. It's all you can see. And the only thing that doesn't show that is the starboard side, which is looking back towards the planet. Every other view that you've got is just filled with this structure in space. As you see it accelerating rapidly, there is a vast now hole in the side of it that you see that you're being hauled towards.
Going inside. That's a great time to blow up.
Yeah.
On the inside.
And as you're watching this appear, you pass through what is a blue wave, a vertical wave washes right across the ship. Right, even in your lab, the whole thing, that is the blue wave just crashes through of energy. You look out of the starboard side and the viewports. Everything else is showing you darkness apart from that one where you can just see the strip of the planet, the dust, the clouds, the rings, and then it begins to crackle. It looks like small black flecks, like static, like snow on an old television, just begins to form over the view, and then begins to solidify into darkness, and you've lost sight of your planet, and you're in this space of just dark. The blue light at this point recedes, and your wife begins running back down. You see her sprinting as fast as she can towards you. And she says, they're here. They're being taken. The ship, the ring of the far side, they've begun to accept the tithe that's happening.
Well, what did you think was going to happen?
I think
This
it'll
is
be this
early.
quick. Look. What you're seeing at that point is the energy platforms that are on the ship, the ones that are closest to you. Then you see this blue wave, again, this vertical wave just coming towards you, and each time it hits one of the line of the pods, they just lift up and just go. Like you see them just disappearing down out of the view, and it happens for each rank. These ships, they're just disappearing into the darkness, but they're still kind of lit up blue as they disappear off. So they look like bullets being fired off. Dr. Amori's there, and he looks at you, and says, let's go and oversee this inspection of our tithe. Seems that you did enough after all, hmm? We got here. They're still alive. And he walks out towards where the last few ranks and where his pod is. And as he does, he walks into the blue light, and you just see him just go, and he just vanishes forward.
I just look at the other two, and I just say, I'm sorry, we're too late.
Yeah,
ship.
You're there when you give up.
The ship begins to give signs of your tampering. Did you set anything up while you were moving in? Did you actually set up what you said you were going to?
Well, the explosion.
Uh-huh.
It was going to be 100 minutes, wasn't it? I think I probably set that in motion. Yeah. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, so you begin to fire up the conduit.
Because
You
I was
begin to
doing
route
that
the
before we accelerated, wasn't it? So
yeah. You begin to the power begins to pool on either side of the ring, and you put the floodgates up so it sticks. And there's all various system overrides flashing and such. The staff in the other rooms, you look round, and you don't see them. The staff in the other labs they've gone. You don't know where, but they're not there. You don't see them. You can investigate, but yeah, the blue light from the other side. And now you see the light, blue light coming down through the labs towards you. And the blue light on the other side from where the pods are begins towards you, right in the center of the ship. And these two blue lines are just coming in towards you, in towards you, in towards you, in towards you, in towards you. And then as they get hold of you, they collapse and meet in the middle, and you go, and you feel like a glass of water being poured through a sieve, and yeah, you appear in this vast, huge golden room. Pillars of metal and gold stretching up. There's cloud pouring over the roof. There are statues of beasts, huge versions of what look to be wolves, lions, tigers. There are vast stone blocks of almost like pyramids and other geometric shapes. The place is a gaudy, huge temple, and very different from what you are used to seeing. And as you're trying to recalibrate your own vision to come into sight, in front of you are just rows upon rows and of the pods, all stacked upon, and standing next to the bottom row is a figure 10 foot tall, wearing armor, red, black, yellow, the color of burnt sun, with a vast staff in the right hand, and turns to look at you. In front of you is Dr. Amori. Doctor,
A bore.
is a bore. is
Not a bore.
No, that's
I
a
was
bore.
reading chat. It was terrible. I just got in there right at the end. Dr. Bore is on his knees, and his arms are flat, palms against the ground, stretched right out, on his knees.
Like in worship, is it? Or
Yeah. Not
Looking
untypical
around
of.
this place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Adam, I think you're right. I think Mrs. Zimmerman would love this place.
what are you doing, Abore?
He turns. I'm just making sure that they know that all of this is for them. And I have hope that they will understand what we have given them. And he looks around. The figure that's there, this giant armored figure, from the other side, you see more of these figures walking out and towards the center where you've landed. And the staffs that they've got in their hands, the various scan, you can see that they're performing. And a voice as deep and as old as the sun itself crackles from the far end of the room and says, your tithe is incomplete. Is the rest what you are to bring to us?
I mean, the other ships, I suppose, that are bringing the metals and that, they're not here yet.
You don't see any
So-
sign of, containers of ores and metals.
I'm not entirely sure who they're talking to.
I was assuming Dr. Abori.
Yeah. Does he
Okay,
reply?
so he stands up and says, yes, we had to expedite the giving. Our ship has developed an issue that we need to deal with. The rest is coming. See for yourself. And the voice says, unacceptable. I think that's a good place to wrap that one up. The tithe was
Not
there.
good enough.
but not there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good place to wrap it up.